Welcome. I'm Doug Morgan, and you're listening to Uncommon Sense, where we hunt for the truth in the topics you're not supposed to talk about, Christianity and politics. Many of you have been watching what's going on with the riots around the country. The big one, of course, is in LA, in California, but there are others around the country as well. And what you're seeing is a lot of just chaos. You're seeing a lot of Marxists, a lot of anarchists, and just people that are, well, just taking advantage of the situation. And the question comes up, well, who's funding this? Because they're obviously being funded. And I will say that the person that is funding it is you. You and I. We are funding it. And I'm going to get into that here in a second. But first, let's take a look at the situation that is occurring. The Trump administration deployed between 500 and 700 U.S. Marines to Los Angeles on Monday to assist the National Guard and local law enforcement as anti-ICE riots blew up in part of the city over the weekend. The CNN reported that 500 Marines from the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in California were mobilized, while ABC News reported that 700 Marines from the 2nd Battalion, 7th Marine, and at 29 Palms, California, were sent to the city. Just before the Marines' deployment was reported, Trump told ABC News, quote, "We'll see what happens," when asked about the possibility of sending them to LA. Quote, I think we have it very well under control, Trump said. I think it would have been a very bad situation, and it was heading in the wrong direction. It's now heading in the right direction. Well, on Saturday, Trump deployed the National Guard to the city, angering Democratic leaders such as Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass. Well, Trump slammed Newsom and Bass for allowing the anti-ICE protests to turn into riots as federal, state, and local law enforcement officers were attacked by agitators slinging rocks and cement and shooting fireworks at them. One person told CNN that the Marines are expected to relieve some of the 2,000 National Guard troops who have been in the city for 2 days now. Of the 2,000 National Guardsmen in LA, only about 300 have been deployed to the streets, according to CNN. The Defense Department lawyers are finalizing use of force guidelines for the Marines. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said on Saturday that active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton were standing ready on high alert in case of escalation of violence. Newsom called Hegseth's statement deranged behavior. Yeah, that's what Newsom called Hegseth's statement, not the other way around, but deranged behavior is what Newsom said. Newsom has argued that the riots have been sufficiently contained by state and local authorities, but President Trump said on Monday that the city would have completely obliterated without his action. Trump also told reporters on Monday that it would be great if his border czar, Tom Homan, arrested Newsom. He kind of said it jokingly. He says he's done a terrible job. The president said of Newsom, "Look, I like Gavin Newsom, and he's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent." California sued the Trump administration over the president's order to deploy the National Guard, alleging the president is trying to manufacture chaos and crisis. Yeah, California filed a lawsuit against Trump's administration on Monday, and after he deployed 2,000 National Guards troops to quell the anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles over the weekend. The lawsuit argues that President Trump unconstitutionally called in the National Guard and infringed on Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom's role without being a clear threat of invasion or rebellion. That's what the Washington Post reported. Okay, well, Trump deployed the National Guard, a power typically exercised by governors, on Saturday as anti-ICE protesters protests turned into riots, and agitators attacked federal, state, and local law enforcement and set fire to cars in the streets. They were literally calling these Waymo taxis, the ones that don't have any drivers, they're all robotic. They were calling them in and then just setting them on fire. I think they got a hold of at least 5 before Waymo finally said, "Yeah, we're not doing anything in LA right now." Quote, let me be clear. There is no invasion. There is no rebellion, California Democratic Attorney General Rob Bonta said. He says the president is trying to manufacture chaos and crisis on the ground for his own political ends. Okay, so this must be what? Mostly peaceful demonstrations? Well, Newsom added that this is a manufactured crisis. He is creating fear and terror to take over a state militia and violate the U.S. Constitution. Yeah, where is that in the Constitution? The illegal order he signed could allow him to send the military into any state he wishes. Yeah, well, not without a crisis or a rebellion. Every governor, red or blue, should reject this outrageous overreach. There's a lot of hyperbole out there. This isn't that. This is an unmistakable step toward authoritarianism that threatens the foundation of our republic. We can't let it stand. Yeah, there's a guy who really wants Trump's job, big time. But on Monday, Trump defended his decision to send National Guard troops to Los Angeles, saying that the city would have been completely obliterated. Quote, the very incompetent governor, Gavin Newsom, and Mayor Karen Bass should be saying, thank you, President Trump. You are so wonderful. We would be nothing without you, sir. Trump wrote on Truth Social that instead they chose to lie to the people of California and America by saying that we weren't needed and that these are peaceful protests. I think that line is kind of getting overused, don't you think? In his order to deploy the National Guard, Trump cited U.S. Code Title 10, Section 12406, which allows the president to call in the National Guard under invasion from foreign nation, a rebellion or danger of rebellion against the U.S. government, or if the president is unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. Well, the statute has not faced much judicial scrutiny, according to Bonta, but he said he feels confident that the courts will side with California. I cannot see how that is going to take place. Trump is well within his rights to do this. Trump could also point to the Insurrection Act of 1807, which allows the president to federalize the National Guard and deploy the U.S. military to quell domestic disorder or violence. I would say that falls into that category, don't you? Asked about invoking the Insurrection Act on Sunday, Trump replied, it depends on whether or not there's an insurrection. At the time, he said that the current situation didn't amount to an insurrection, but you have violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it. So the left is trying to just play this down because, they actually agree with the rioters. There's just no two ways around it. And you see all of these Mexican flags flying, and of course you see these Palestinian flags flying and Palestinian garb. I mean, I don't have a clue what that has to do with this, other than the same people that support both sides are there. But a news reporter at Los Angeles ABC news affiliate, speaking over video footage of riots, where leftists were burning cars to protest Trump's administration immigration policies, described the situation to viewers as just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn. Yeah, he literally said that. The ABC 7 reporter made the comments while declaring, quote, "It could turn very violent if you move law enforcement in there and turn what is a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and acceleration between officers and demonstrators." Here, I know you don't believe me. I I know that's the case, but I will play you the clip so that you can hear what is happening here.
One back open again. So same kind of situation here. There's a large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
See, I told you, it is literally being played down. How you can take what is going on and say that that is just a bunch of people there to watch the cars burn is just absolutely ridiculous. So, what do we have here? Well, we have the media playing things down, and yet rioters rioting. Meanwhile, on Monday, after a weekend of rioting, the usual suspects in the media either offered their support for illegal immigrants or attacked the Trump administration for getting involved in the incendiary situation. The Los Angeles Times published an article titled "Feds Vow to Continue Immigration Enforcement Every Day in LA. Here are your rights." Yeah. Here's another quote: Businesses should ensure that employees know their rights and that they should refrain from engaging with ICE officials. This is according to the National Employment Law Project. That's what the Times wrote. Quote, "Trump jumps at the chance for a confrontation in California over immigration." That's the failing New York Times. And they blared in response to the riots, adding that the situation has all the elements that the president seeks: a showdown with a top political rival in a deep blue state over an issue core to his agenda. Here's another one from the Times. In bypassing the authority of Governor Gavin Newsom of California, a Democrat, to call the National Guard to quell protests in the Los Angeles area over his administration's efforts to deport more migrants, Mr. Trump is now pushing the boundaries of presidential authority and stoking criticism that he is inflaming the situation for political gain. Again, that's the Times. Here's another. The easiest way to understand this is not that Los Angeles has suddenly turned into a metropolis riddled with criminal immigrants who are holding it hostage. This is what the Washington Post echoed. The easiest way to understand this is that the president and his administration have been looking to California as they have been looking to crush any center of power that he views as adversarial. The administration, by all appearances, seeks to make an example of California and any leaders who oppose its efforts. So you can see how they're just, if you are to just simply watch the propaganda media, you would not understand what was going on here. But this is not just a bunch of people that love to watch cars burn. Anti-ICE rioters, according to the latest reports from Los Angeles Police Department, have been coordinating their efforts, in part by communicating via two-way radios to share the locations of and actions taken by law enforcement, military, and federal agents. Fox News National correspondent Bill Milligan, he shared his latest details. He'd received from the LAPD in an X post on Monday, reporting that dozens had already been arrested on a number of different charges, and that at least 5 officers and police department horses have been injured while attempting to quell the unrest. Quote, new LAPD announces that they made 50 arrests during the riots over the weekend, including charges for attempted murder with a Molotov cocktail and assault with a deadly weapon on an officer. 5 officers and 5 LAPD horses have sustained minor injuries, and crowds were using handheld radio to communicate law enforcement movements to each other. That's what he reported. Now, the LAPD's confirmation of coordinated action among the protesters lent credence to multiple reports claiming that the riots only look chaotic on the surface and that underneath they are well organized and well funded and are being executed by people who have been well trained. Quote, LAPD firing rubber bullets at rioters who have removed the pink park benches to use as shields. If you just spent 2 minutes watching these people, you can see they are trained and organized. They know what they're doing. This is what Kira Davis posted. Retired Army Colonel Kurt Schlichter assessed the situation in a town hall column published Monday, where he said that the chaos was all just an illusion meant to scare and intimidate people into compliance. Quote, this is not a battle of cops versus rioters. It is a battle between narratives. Most people see regime media video of third world savages waving their tacky banners and their garbage homeland lighting fires, hassling cops, and doing other things consistent with being barbarians, and think that Los Angeles is in chaos and therefore get scared. This is what he wrote. He said, the idea behind this color revolution is it is organized and planned, not spontaneous or genuine. It is to intimidate normal people into submitting and embracing the politicians associated with its goals in the hopes that it will stop. This is the work of the Democratic Party. The rioters are its useful idiots, attacking or acting to support the party's goals while it maintains deniability. Yeah, and I mean, you can't say he's wrong, right? A thread from Wocal Distance laid out the strategies employed by coordinated protests, strategies designed first to ultimately ensure that law enforcement has no reasonable alternative to using force, and then to ensure that when they do use force, they are on camera, and that the protesters are the front lines. The protesters on the front lines put the most sympathetic faces possible, like babies and the elderly and things like that, up front. Quote: the riots happening in LA are not organic or spontaneous. They're designed to look chaotic, to cover up the fact that they're well funded, exceptionally organized, and carried out by well-trained activists using intelligent, highly developed tactics. That's what she said. So who is behind these riots, and who is paying for them? I mean, if they are this coordinated, if they are this well put on and well trained and all this kind of stuff, then who's behind it and who's paying for it? Well, one of the groups organizing the anti-ICE protests in Los Angeles advocates for Mexico to conquer much of the American Southwest, arguing that the United States is an illegitimate colonialist power. Yeah, you heard me right. Centro CSO. It's an organization that pushes for the Mexican people to have self-determination in America's southwestern states. recruited its followers to join the Sunday protests as violence escalated against federal law enforcement. Now, the group marched with a banner that read, "Fight Trump," and reposted an image of an ICE vehicle on social media, particularly flagging that the car's license plate. The group's rallying call is that the flag of Arzinian. Arzinian? No, I guess it's Aztlan. There we go, Aztlan. It's a mythical homeland of the Aztecs in the southwestern United States, which was ruled by Mexico prior to the Mexican-American War and the independence of Texas. Well, a symbol has been used by Mexican nationalists who claim that America has no legitimate claim to the states, including Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California. An individual associated with the organization spoke at the rally and appeared to threaten violence against law enforcement. He said, "They're going to find out that we don't play games out here." This is what Sammy Carrera said. And he says, "We're no longer going to be on the defense. We're going to take the fight to them." And he said of ICE agents in a video that was posted by a communist organization, by the way. Centro CSO was not the only group involved in organizing the anti-ICE protests, which began on Friday after federal agents they arrested gang members and sex offenders that argued that the United States should be conquered by Mexico. Another ethnic separatist group that joined the protest effort is Union del Barrio, which calls the United States an illegal settler nation. Yeah, an illegal settler nation, and agitates on behalf of the La Raza, or the race. Well, the revolutionary organization simply invokes the myth of Aztlan, also referring to the American Southwest as occupied Mexico. Union del Barrio considers itself an international racial organization that fights against, quote, European colonialism and the, quote, Anglo settler, unquote. Here's another quote. It says, "We hold that the struggle of La Raza in Aztlan / Mexico Ocupado is historically and geographically defined as an indigenous and Mexicano anti-colonial fight for land and socialism." That's what the group actually says. Union del Barrio calls for international racial unity to overthrow European colonialism and neo-colonialists among the United States white nationalist population, as they put it. The principled unification of our forces, this is the quote again, throughout Nuestra America will be necessary to overturn all manifestations of colonial, imperialist, and neoliberal oppression. This is what they actually say. Not making this up. One of the organization's community organizers is Ron Gochez. He's a teacher, believe it or not, in the Los Angeles Unified School District. And he charged the frail racist white people want to keep Hispanics out of the United States. And here's what he's saying.
I want to start off by saying that the young man who spoke a little while ago was one of my students. And that made me so proud, because I know that our people have strong leaders for years and years to come. As a militante of Unión del Barrio, a revolutionary Mexican organization here, we understand what the camarada is saying. You're right, this is not just about Mexico. This is about a global struggle against imperialism and capitalism. Yes. But we know that all of that is happening in the context that where we now stand is stolen, occupied Mexico. And the message that we bring is we want to bring a little bit more of a revolutionary context to this. Why is it that these people, these frail, racist white people, want to keep us out of this country? It's not because simply the color of our skin. It's not simply because they just want to exploit us. Let me tell you why. Because on this planet right now, of 6 billion people, at the forefront of the revolutionary movement is the raza. When you go to Venezuela, when you go, we have the long history and example of our comandante, Fidel Castro Ruz. We got Hugo Chavez, Evo Morales, we got Brazil, Ecuador, you name it. We have nine left of center governments in Latin America right now. And they know something that a one young Argentine called Che Guevara said. It was called the domino theory. And he knew that every single country would go revolutionary, one after the other, after the other, after the other. So what do they fear? They know that every single country, they know that we no longer will fall to these lies called borders. We know that a Salvadoran and a Guatemalan and Nicaraguense and Mexicano, there's no damn difference. We are all one people. So with that in mind, we see ourselves, all of us here, as the northern front of a Latin American revolutionary movement. There are more than 40 million of our people north of the Rio Grande. That means to them, there's 40 million potential revolutionaries north of the border, inside the belly of the beast. So when you think about why do they want to kick us, of all people, out, that's why. Because they know that we now know the truth. They know that now we are raza, we're professionals, we're educators, we are revolutionary students. What does that mean? We are not just a regular culture anymore. We're a culture of revolutionary spirit. And that's the fear. So with that being said, I want to leave you with this. As a revolutionary and with revolutionary context, let's be clear about one thing. Our enemy is not the Minutemen. Quote me. Our enemy is not the Minutemen. Because the Minutemen are not the ones who have killed over 4,600 people at those borders. Now, our enemy is the same enemy as Hugo Chavez, that Hugo Chavez has. Our enemy is the same enemy that keeps Africa poor. Our enemy is the same enemy that keeps Asia poor. Our enemy is capitalism and imperialism. Okay? And I'll finish with this to respect the time. If we are serious about making change, if you are serious about making change, let me tell you, the struggle will go on for many more years after we leave UCLA. Reading a book or writing a book or teaching a class, that is not part of the movement. What you do 24 hours a day as a professional revolutionary, that is what is going to lead our people and all people to liberation. Que viva la raza.
You see, that right there is a teacher teaching kids in the LA school system. One of the organization's community organizers is this gentleman. He is Ron Gochez, and that's what he's calling for. Now, the efforts of the two extreme organizations were bolstered by the Community Self-Defense Coalition, which gave out helmets. They gave out respirators, goggles, and masks to the protesters. Large groups of protesters refused to disperse as police used tear gas and other lethal devices to break up the illegal gatherings. The organization takes on social media to broadcast the location of ICE agents and works with Union del barrio to create and disseminate a guide on how to identify the vehicles used by ICE. The Coalition for Human Immigrant Rights, which, of course, the Daily Wire previously reported received funding from the Department of Homeland Security under the Biden administration. So you and I are funding this. And it was also involved in the LA protests. The Trump administration froze funding to this group, which worked to dismantle the U.S. immigration enforcement system, all while it raked in millions of dollars from the Biden administration. Marxist organizations also joined in the protests against ICE. The protests were advertised by Refuse Fascism Los Angeles, a far-left organization that hands out propaganda created by the RevCom. That's a revolutionary communist party group. The two groups collaborated as they agitated against what they call the Trump fascist regime. The Revolutionary Communist Party advocates for world revolution and the ultimate aim of communism. The Party of Socialism and Liberation, another Marxist organization, also encouraged people to take to the streets to protest in LA and join the march. So we've seen all of these Marxist type groups. In fact, we see even all the big unions getting involved with this as well, because they're the only reason they're kind of staying afloat right now is because of the illegal immigration and the unionization of those people. And so you're seeing all of these union groups, all the way from even the AFL-CIO was out there spouting off. But all of this, the teachers unions, all these different things. What interest does the union have in this? That's a good question. It's not what they are getting out of it, though. It's that they are one and the same with the Marxists. You see, this is a battle, both spiritual and ideological. Make no mistake about it. That's what's going on here. And it'll be really interesting to see how this all comes down, because it's nice having a president that is willing to take this on instead of fund it like the president we had before him. And we'll see how it all comes down. We'll keep an eye on it for you. But I would love to hear what you have to say on it. If you support this or if you don't support it, I would love to hear you. Of course, you can always do that at uncommonsensepodcast.com. Join us on YouTube as well. Thank you for listening. This podcast is a production of Morganite Communications.